We ready?
Yeah.
Right. This week, he put a ring on it. Welcome to episode number 18 of the More Than Macros podcast. Before we get started, remember our disclaimer: the information and opinions shared during this podcast are solely those of any given individual and not a substitute for medical advice. Hey, Riki.
Hi, Brandyn.
Did you like that?
Yeah, he put a ring on it.
It was a little surprise. I've been.
Everybody was like, nobody knew. I mean,
No.
you definitely put in a big.
I was hosting a seminar and I always reference you a few times and we're cleaning up and putting the chairs away and somebody's like, "Oh, your friend Riki got engaged today," and I was like, "What?" And I look over at Brandyn because he had been on his phone and he's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "What?" It was so awesome.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Look, because it's just something that I didn't expect. Where it was day one of Crush Games. He just got done, and we were walking to my best friend's car. We're like, okay, we're gonna go get food right now. And then he had my best friend's keys in his backpack, so she's like, hey Dan, give him my keys. And he's like, okay. So he goes down to look for the keys in his backpack, and then he's like, hey Chelsea, can you take a picture of me and Riki? And he never asks for pictures. It's always me that does it, like, hey, let's take a picture. And then he so she takes the picture, and she only has 70% on her phone. and so she's like, okay, let's go. And he's smiling, and he goes back down to the backpack, and he's grinning, looking at me, looking for the box. And I was like, wait a second. And then Chelsea too, she's like, oh my god. So she starts recording
Wait,
it
she
again.
didn't know?
And she had no idea. Nobody knew. Yeah. So she's like, oh my god. So that's when she, if you see on the Instagram, listen to it again, because she's like, I'm freaking out. She had no idea. Yeah. So, yeah. And that's how it happened.
Aw, I love it. I know. I was sitting there waiting. We did all this stuff at the gym on Saturday, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, waiting outside of a diner for a friend to meet us, and I'm like, oh my god, is this what I think it is? And of course I always have my phone on vibrate so it doesn't play the volume, and I'm like, where's the volume? I was very exciting weekend. And you kicked ass on Saturday, I hear.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. I was excited. Honestly, I was hoping for podium, but I didn't expect first place.
Good things. Good things. Well, do we want to get into things?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, for people who, are either watching or listening, you can hear that there's a third person here this week. I've been so excited. We haven't interviewed somebody in a while. I think since we did, since Koyos, right? It was either Koyos or Dan, which,
4 or 5 episodes ago.
Nicole, that is quite an interview to follow up, but do you want to introduce our guest, Riki?
Sure. So, today's episode, we have Nicole Capurso, who is a grid athlete, a CrossFit Games athlete, an Olympic weightlifter, and she's a flexible dieting coach. Well, she calls it Honor Your Nutrition. And I've known Nicole for 3, almost 4 years now. We started off in the CrossFit world together, total newbie, or I was at least. I think she probably has 6 months on me. And then we started to compete together on a team, and we would call ourselves the cohesive unit. So yeah, we go way back. So hi Nicole.
Hello guys. I'm super excited to be here, and your podcast has been something that's been a pretty cool thing that I listen to and stuff like that, so it's cool to be on it.
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for listening and for joining us. I forget that people actually do those things, like listen to us. Do you want to tell people a little bit? I mean, Riki kind of gave a little bit of a background of what you are all about, but do you want to just kind of give a little bit more to folks?
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Nicole Capurso. I'm from New York originally. I went to college at Hofstra, so right around where Riki and Dan live now. And that's where I met Riki and Dan. Made my way into Dan's gym pretty new into CrossFit, and obviously met Riki there. Like Rick said, we competed together a whole bunch, and we were always kind of in the gym together. And so after that, I moved away to Virginia, but we still kept in touch all the time. And I reached out to Riki one time when I was really trying to cut weight, pretty significant weight cut that I used to make. I'm 5'9", 5'8". And I used to lift as a 63 kilo lifter, so that's 138 pounds. So it was a pretty tough weight cut that I used to make, and I made it the wrong way one time. Pretty much just bodybuilder diet, chicken and broccoli every day, all day. Got pretty sick doing that, and the next time I was asked to cut, I reached out to Ricklin to try and get more information on flexible nutrition and flexible dieting and what that was all about, and she kind of showed me the ropes there and helped me through that. So once I was pretty successful there, I wrote a kind of random blog piece, I like to call it, because I didn't really intend for anything to come out of it. I was just kind of sick of, all these people talking and not really know what they were talking about. So I wrote this piece. It was called How Donuts Gave Me Abs and an 80 kilo snatch. And it kind of went viral, and so I realized that people were looking for coaches and stuff like that, so I started working more closely with Ricklin and Chrissy May to try and just gain more knowledge on flexible nutrition and become a coach of my own, since that's what it seemed was needed at the time, and so that's where I am now. So I run my own website. It's called honoryournutrition.com. Very similar to Riki's services, and we stay in touch. She actually, whenever I need a nutrition coach or kind of like I need someone accountable, Riki's who I go to, and we're kind of work together like that in the same field, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we were actually just talking about that. I think it was on last week's episode, just about kind of like we've talked from time to time of how like coaches kind of need coaches too, and just like that a little bit of extra accountability there. But yeah, we were just kind of talking about that, how like we're all kind of here to help and support each other in the community as well. So that's pretty cool to hear.
Like, in the gym, like I'm a CrossFit coach, right? Like I know how to coach CrossFit, and I have members that I coach, but I always have a coach, and I think it's just, a really good thing, especially when you have a goal in mind or when you have something that you're looking toward, that you just have somebody that can take the accountability away from you when it comes to you, and it also makes you not question what you're doing. I think when it comes to ourselves, sometimes we're always like, are we doing the right thing? Are we not? And this kind of takes that out of it. So
yeah.
And I always say it, but if it weren't for Nicole to write that blog piece, like I probably wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, you're welcome. I didn't even know what I was doing. I can't even say it was like a business move. I just somehow, I remember like getting back in touch with Riki, because I had mentioned her and put her in the bottom, obviously, because she was my coach. And I remember getting back in touch with her, like, what do we do now?
Like, our emails
make a living off that one blog piece. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember it was the American Open, 2014 American Open, and like I stayed with her for like the last week leading up to it, and like all we did on our, like if we weren't lifting, we were just answering emails and working and that, like that. I mean, we did it the old-fashioned way. We would just answer emails all the time, and like our inbox always had at least 50 emails in it.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I think that's where, that's where a lot of people, I guess, now even still kind of lose that sense of authenticity. So when people kind of can see it, like you're saying, it wasn't a business move and or anything like that. You were just kind of speaking your experience and your truth and like, listen, I'm sick of kind of this bullshit that's out there. So, and I think that people can, it's nice to see that people can kind of weed through all of that kind of fake BS out there and appreciate the actual genuine help and just kind of words that are being put out there.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, it was pretty much like, if you go back and read it now, it was like, I don't want to say, it's like I don't want to use the word thoughtless, but it's just like a testimonial of kind of my experiences and straight up like what I went through and what I do. And it wasn't like, there was no intention of selling anything or, trying to get clients from it, because I didn't have a business at that point. And that definitely, like you're saying, it comes through in writing, and it's pretty cool that that's out there now. And points people in the right direction, I think, Yeah.
I'll read that as a little bedtime story tonight after the torture of the presidential debate, I'm sure. God, it's seriously ridiculous. Such a spectacle. Do you want to kind of talk to, tell people a little bit about, because I mean, I don't know that we've ever really kind of dove into too much of that, like, what was like that kind of, like that, the bad cut, like?
Yeah, so I walk at, when we say walk, like what I wake up at day to day, it was about around 145-ish, 146 maybe. Like I said, I'm 5'8", 5'9", so the cut to 138 is pretty harsh. The end is usually a water cut, very similar to Riki's 48 cut, which is, I think, why we kind of understand each other so much there. Definitely a water cut by the end. I don't really want to walk around at 138. It's just not possible anymore, but back then it was. And so when I cut the first time, I had never like been on a diet, or I was a basketball player, right? So we were always trying to get me bigger. Mm-hmm. No one was ever concerned about what I weighed and stuff like that. So I didn't really know how to lose weight or start that process. And the person that was kind of helping me through it was a weightlifter that had cut on his own, and he basically just told me, let's just And then if I was really hungry before bed, I was allowed like 1 scoop of almond butter or nut butter. And I pretty much did
generous.
This. Like, I thought this is what you do to cut weight, and so I did that. And I got really sick. Peach fuzz, clear fuzz going on my stomach. The next morning after I lifted, so I lifted, made weight. The next morning we went to breakfast, and I think I had like 8 to 10 biscuits and gravy. And I remember like one of my teammates saying, "Are you really not full?" And I remember like dead serious being like, "I'm not full." And what had happened that I realize now was my leptin stores were actually depleted. I had no more leptin, so my body actually wasn't registering that I was full. And so because of this, I would eat till I was sick. And Christmas was a few weeks later, and I did the same thing on Christmas to the point where like my belly was so distended that it was painful, but I still wasn't full. And so that's like all signs of not reverse dieting correctly or not coming off a significant cut correctly. Stuff that I know now that back then I just thought I just thought I had stomach issues, After that, I put on very big for me. Like even heavy for me now is like 150, 151, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a number that like I didn't even know I could get there, and I accidentally stepped on a scale one day and saw that, and I just thought I was got really strong doing CrossFit, you know? Like, I was like, oh, I'm really strong. I got a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a few months later, my coach asked me to cut again to 138 to 63 kilos, and so that's when I reached out to Riki. I basically told him that it was going to be impossible because I got bigger and stronger, but I also knew that I couldn't put my body through that again and make myself sick. And I think the first time I reached out to her about it, I said, like, I don't know if this is possible, but let's try it. And within, like, a few weeks, we were down to, like, 65 kilos. So we were right there.
Yeah.
Basically, as soon as my metabolism had reset and my body got used to having the correct amounts of fuel and the correct amounts of food, then I was good to go.
Yeah. And I was nervous. I was nervous doing your numbers because when she texted me, like, hey, like, can you help me with this, like, flexible dieting thing that you're doing? And I was like, okay, but I've never coached anybody on this. And like, this was for nationals.
We'll see.
Yeah, this was for nationals, and she wanted my help. Yeah, we did it.
I have 2 follow-ups there. So was there almost a point where when it was said not only like that's not possible, but like I don't want to do that, I don't want to put myself through that again, like was there that kind of thought? I would imagine if it was kind of that experience initially.
I didn't want, to be honest, like physically, I guess that's why I CrossFit and why I like CrossFit, because like you forget the pain when it's over, right? Like I do a workout and it sucks and it's painful, and then like the next day I'm like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad, you know. And it was kind of like that same thing there. Like I knew I didn't want to do that again, but I knew that like it wasn't that bad. Like I made it through. This was a time that I was also trying to eat. When I decided I needed to clean my diet up again, I would go default to paleo, right? Because it was really all I knew. And at this point, it was just making. At this point, it was just making things work. Can you see me? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm laughing at Dan behind Riki.
I wasn't eating enough carbohydrates for how much I was exercising, and it was kind of all kinds of, my diet was like all kinds of screwed up. So I knew that even if turning to flexible nutrition or flexible dieting couldn't get me back to 63, at least it would kind of clean my stuff up and like point me in the right direction as far as a plan. And like with paleo, I thought I was really good at it, but you know, then you would have like your one cheat day, and I would, like, plan my day around anything that wasn't paleo. And so, like, are you really doing the right thing at that point? You know, like, is it really a good, smart nutrition plan if you're looking forward to Sunday because you get to have everything you're not allowed to have all week? You know, I knew that didn't make sense. So, yeah, that was kind of, it was more of like I wanted something new, and I knew that this could possibly help the weight cut as well.
Yeah. And how long did it kind of take you, do you think, to kind of snap out or to kind of readjust, I guess, your hormones and all of that kind of was affected by that initial cut, do you think?
I want to say probably like total maybe 3 weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. Like it was a long time ago and I don't really remember now, you know. But I always say like, the longer I do think I was in some kind of like metabolic damage at that point, you know, but I do think metabolic damage gets thrown around a lot more than it actually is.
Yeah.
Because you can have metabolic damage for years, and I think that's something that takes a lot longer to be corrected. Where if you're in metabolic damage, I want to say, for lack of a better term, for only a few months, it's going to get rectified pretty quick. You know, your body's very smart, and it'll go back to functioning correctly once you start treating it correctly. So I do think because I wasn't that severe of like a metabolic mess, that my body took to it pretty quick, and it only took a few weeks. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any questions, Riki?
my question is as far as training goes, because I know that right now you're training for American Open, but you also have to be ready for the CrossFit Open, which is like immediately after. So, what's your training like?
Yeah, so I used to kind of always have an issue because I would weightlift really light at a really light body weight, and then I would have to try and really quickly kind of put some mass back on for CrossFit. And this year I kind of I joined a new weightlifting team, Juggernaut, and they have me lifting as a 69 kilo lifter. So I'll be a light 69. I'll probably weigh in around 66, 67. That would be my goal. And that's for CrossFit purposes as well. So then, I kind of won't miss a beat, right? I'll train for weightlifting, kind of back off Metcons. The American Open is in 8 weeks. So I'm doing normal CrossFit stuff and weightlifting together now. A few weeks before, I'll kind of back off some heavy Metcons just to give my body a break and be ready to go for the American Open. And then pretty much as soon as the American Open is over, it's CrossFit season. And I like to say that, like, I get really serious about CrossFit season in January. So that'll kind of be when it's kind of full steam ahead. And I went team last year with a team from Houston. And I'm moving to Springfield, Missouri by the end of the year. And so I'll be training with a team here in Springfield. And hopefully, we go all the way to the games on that team.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So with that, are you not going to do nationals? Because I think nationals is...
So, yeah, that's a good question. Last year, I would have actually done nationals, but our team decided as a team that we weren't going to do that because it was a lot of traveling. But this year, nationals is in Chicago, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty close to me here in Springfield. So if regionals is first and nationals comes after, I will likely do it. If there's like 2 weeks, if nationals is first and then there's like 2 weeks and then it's CrossFit regionals, I will also probably do it. As long as they're not like back to back.
Right.
That would be the only thing. Again, because I'm not cutting weight, I'll be at CrossFit weight and in CrossFit shape, and I can just go lift. So that'll help. Had I been a 63 still, I wouldn't be able to do that back to back. But I'm not counting it out yet. I also think universities is in April this year, and and I'm still 25. So if I qualify by the American Open, I believe I can still lift. Don't quote me on that, but I'm right on the borderline. So that may be another one. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
Do you prefer weightlifting or CrossFit?
CrossFit, and I think it's only because I'm a little better at CrossFit than I am as a weightlifter. I think if I was a better weightlifter, I would say weightlifting 100%.
Okay.
I really like the focused training of weightlifting and the you have one goal in mind, right? Like the snatch and the clean and jerk, and get really good at both of those.
Yeah.
And I was a 3-point shooter in college, and so I really like the game on the line, pressure situation type feel.
Yeah.
That only comes in weightlifting. It doesn't even come in like a strength event in CrossFit. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing like, and Riki can attest to this too, there's nothing like being out on the platform looking into like a dark crowd. It's your bar, your turn, there's a minute, and it's go ahead, right? Like, it's not a CrossFit ladder, right? It's very different. Yeah. The adrenaline is different. You're really high, and you have to calm yourself down a whole bunch. It's super, super unique. And CrossFit, on the other hand, is like a fast break to me, or like playing defense. There's parts where you can just like suck it up and grind through it and come out with a really good score. Very little finesse is often needed. And so they're two very different sports. I just, again, am not like a amazing weightlifter within my weight class and stuff like that in the country. I'm nationally ranked, obviously, but not top of the line, and with CrossFit, I've had some success at the top of the sport. I've been to games now. I've been to regionals a bunch as an individual. So I think I'm genetically just more inclined to be better at CrossFit than weightlifting, but I do enjoy them both.
Cool. I've got another one.
Go.
Do you prefer individual CrossFit or team?
Team for sure.
Team.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty common. Pretty common. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm almost at the point where like I'm mad that I wasted. Well, I want to say wasted, right? But like I'm mad that I spent 2 years like making myself, because by the end I feel like you make yourself miserable no matter what.
Yeah.
Like by the end of CrossFit season, you either physically, emotionally, mentally, you've had enough.
Yeah.
You know? And this year as a team, or training as a team, was like really the only year that I didn't feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
I took a week off after the games, and that was pretty much just to spend time with my boyfriend, spend time with my parents, and just get the time in my life back.
Yeah.
You know, that I had spent so much doing training. Where in years past, I took, a good 2 weeks off because I didn't want to look at a barbell. I didn't want to do another handstand push-up, and I didn't really have that feeling this year, so that was kind of good.
Okay.
I just think I'm also naturally a team athlete. Again, basketball player my whole life. I wasn't like a gymnast,
Yeah.
And I like being around people, and I like, knowing your role and doing your job and making your team better.
Yeah. I feel like it's a little more fun.
Yeah, it makes the trip more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And you said you did grid?
I did, yeah. So I played for the Miami Surge. This was my 3rd season, actually, on the Surge. We were in Utah this year for just a month. The whole season was condensed into a month.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy if you've ever seen grid, because those matches are hard to recover from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool this year, but again, super fast. I think it's a sport that kind of got off to a rocky start, and so people discredited it immediately. But it is fun to watch, especially if you appreciate fitness and CrossFit. It's a fun thing, and I love being a part of it. My 2 owners on the Miami Surge, Ruby and Mather, are some of the greatest people I've ever met, and our team is still privately owned by them, and they're just great people, and I'm grateful for the opportunity they give me every year to play.
That's awesome. Cool.
Is it coming back next year?
It's supposed to be in the same format that it was this year. So we were supposed to be back in Provo, Utah, which was an odd site, but I think towards the end of the month, the sport gained a lot of popularity within that town. So I'm hoping they'll bring it back next year. Yeah, and it'll be a little bigger. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Do you want to give any information, like as far as like when your next honor your nutrition seminar is, or even like throw out your website?
Yeah, so all my information, where I'm going to be competing, where I'm going to be speaking, my services as far as nutrition goes, it all is on honoryournutrition.com. It's all one word. If you go there, my next scheduled seminar is actually in Texas right before I move. It's in El Campo, Texas, and it's the first weekend in November. And then I'll be going out to Clearwater, Florida, for the Companions for Heroes event. Yeah, it's a fundraiser. They raise money to support getting rescue dogs to veterans that are dealing with PTSD and stuff like that, and having a hard time when they're coming home. So I'll be out there kind of hanging out with the vets, and Daniel will be there, a whole bunch of people.
Is that the one Leah's going to too, that she mentioned?
I'm going to be there too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's as far as my schedule immediately goes. And then again, all my services are found on my website, pretty central there. So yeah.
Cool. And just a reminder to people listening and watching, all of our show notes are now located in the comments or the notes underneath of our YouTube videos. So go there. They're underneath our videos. So links to anything like that we'll put there. And obviously all of our stuff as well. Cool. we want to end there? We're right around our normal time, so unless we got anything else. Is there anything else you want to share, Nicole, or are we good?
No, that's about it. I do have a new clothing line coming out.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Midwestern build. Yeah, I actually have the shirt on here, so it looks like this.
That's awesome.
And it says honor your gifts. Yeah, so the whole clothing line is honor your gifts clothing line. But just if you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is ncapurso22, and I'll kind of just keep you updated there. And I also did another apparel kind of collaboration with Chesty. So we just got one out there, and that one actually just dropped this week. Yeah, it's called Nicole, and it's in blue and red now, and it should come out in pink in February. But yeah, so those are the 2 new apparel things that I have lined up.
Sweet.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining us. It was awesome, especially.
Thanks for doing it for a minute.
Yes, we appreciate it.
No problem.
Aw, well, enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, guys.
All right.
All right. I'll talk to you later.